What's going on, everybody? Nate the Boss here, back with another Packer reactions video. And today I'm going to be giving my reactions to the Packers and the New Orleans Saints, or call them the Aints, because they can't win a game. Anyways, Packers pull this one off 34-0. The first shutout by the Packers since week 10 of 2021. That was against the Seahawks because Russell Wilson couldn't win a game at Lambeau Field. So if you're wondering about the background this time, I'm not in my dorm room. I'm home from college. And normally I do these in my room, but I have no motivation to go to my room because I like being down in my finished basement. And I was probably going to turn on Elf or something because I kind of want to watch a Christmas movie. So, all that necessary BS aside, I just had that feeling that this was going to be all Packers today. And lo and behold, all Packers. I was thinking this one was going to be 35-10. My dad thought I was pretty delusional. He said 31-17. I'll take 34-0. Thank you very much. So, speaking of the shutout, it was actually the first shutout of the 2024 NFL season. So it's a nice flex up on the other 31 teams who couldn't pitch a shutout this year. I don't know if defenses are getting bad, but we definitely took advantage of an injury-plagued Saints team. The Saints did not have Derek Carr. They did not have Chris Olave, who's been injured for 5 weeks or so. I mean, he had a concussion. I think it was his second concussion. Derek Carr had been injured the last 2-3 weeks. And then Alvin Kamara got hurt last week, so that kind of gave us a little bit of a leg up. And then MVS was a little banged up during the week. So I thought the Saints on the offensive side of the ball were screwed. I know the Saints have had a good defense the last couple of years with that veteran leadership of Cameron Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu, but they simply could not stop the Packers today. I mean, we scored touchdowns on our first 3 drives of the game. I mean, I thought this was the Saints were just going to get absolutely shit on. And that's what happened. I definitely think we should have won this game by a lot more. I know I say that a lot. But, I mean, the offense was a little shaky at times, and it's not going to be a perfect game by any means. But it was in the first half. I did not like how we took 2 deep shots on a 2nd and 4. So it was 2nd and 4, okay. We had just gotten the ball back. I didn't like how we took 2 deep shots. I would have just said, take your deep shot on 2nd down, and then 3rd down, we just go for the 1st down. But that was just a fluky drive. Whatever. Jordan Love, I definitely think we did not throw the ball a lot today. And we didn't need to. We didn't. Because Josh Jacobs and the other 2 running backs, Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks, ran over the Saints defense who, it's they're pretty gassed because their offense can't really do them any favors because they're down their starting quarterback and some of their best playmakers. I will say that Rashid Shaheed had been out for most of the season. He got injured sometime in October, I think. And of course, you also mentioned you have to think of the fact that the Saints were eliminated from playoff contention, and they had an interim head coach. It's just they can't beat anybody good. I mean, they beat the Falcons, and who else did they beat? Man, who did they beat? I'm trying to remember. I know they beat the Giants because of a blocked field goal. The Packers have gotten one of our wins this year on a blocked field goal. The Saints went on a blocked game-tying field goal because the Giants are notorious for kicking the ball pretty low. No. The Giants are notorious for kicking the ball super low, and that leads to more of a more susceptibility for kicks getting blocked. So the Saints, outside of that 2-week stretch and firing the head coach, I mean, it's been a whirlwind kind of a season for the Saints, but we just took advantage of them. And whenever the Saints got in our territory, we just shut them down. I mean, our defense played pretty damn well. We had 3 sacks, an interception, a fumble recovery. And it looked like the Saints were going to get a field goal, at least a field goal before halftime. But nope. Devontae Wyatt with a huge sack, and that knocked the Saints out of field goal range. And Darren Rizzi, terrible clock management. He was in the press, in his little sideline conference right before halftime. He was upset because there was some miscommunication. And during that play, I was confused if it was a fumble or an incomplete pass because it was 3rd down and I didn't want the Saints to get any points. A fumble out of bounds, the clock keeps running. So the Saints didn't really get the communication that well. And I personally didn't really recall that if the ball is fumbled out of bounds, the clock keeps running, and the Saints didn't really manage the clock that well. Thus, they didn't really have a good opportunity to manage the clock and at least get some form of points before halftime. And the second half, the offense didn't really do too much for the Saints. Well, they did get in a plus territory down 24-0, and then none. They failed to get any points. They threw an interception and just couldn't really move the ball, got a few first downs, and that was pretty much it. They didn't really have the ball for that long either. They did not. The Packers dominated time of possession for this game, 37 to 23 minutes. That's just kind of approximate. You just got to consider seconds in there, but that's kind of a good, 37, a good comparison. The Packers, I just knew, the game plan was to control the ball and make sure Spencer Rattler doesn't do anything too crazy, because Spencer Rattler is a very inexperienced quarterback. And, me thinking about Spencer Rattler, the dude's inexperienced. Well, I thought he was going to be the first overall pick in 2022. But Caleb Williams had other ideas at Oklahoma, and that kind of tore the morale down for Spencer Rattler, and I'm surprised he got drafted. He ultimately went to the NFL, because I thought he was going to crumble at South Carolina, but he did fine. And he was taken by the Saints. I mean, he doesn't really have the best offensive line either, and he didn't have much of a supporting cast. We mentioned that more towards the beginning and kind of at the top. And he was kind of screwed this game. But the Packers on the offensive side of the ball, throwing the ball, yeah. Jordan Love didn't really have to throw it that much. And the offensive line did their job. We didn't surrender a sack. And we doubled the Saints in yardage gain. It was 400 to a little less than 200 on the Saints end. I'm just very happy that I didn't have to stress out in the fourth quarter for once. I was stressing out a little bit in the fourth quarter last week, but hey, we won that game. And look at where we are. I should have mentioned this at the top, but we clinched a playoff spot. 5th time in 6 years under Matt LaFleur. Very darn impressive, right? So where do we go from here? So I will say Christian Watson has a knee injury. I hope it's not severe or anything. I hope he's fine. And we got rolled up on one of our touchdown drives in the early going. And it seemed like he re-aggravated it. And then Josh Jacobs also was a little banged up too. I was like, oh my God, don't tell me we lost Josh Jacobs. But according to the sideline reporter, Josh Jacobs is fine. Thank God. Because We're gonna need him if we want to make a deep playoff run. And look at what we have coming up next week. The Minnesota Viqueens. That's gonna be an important game because it might determine who we play in the playoffs. And now I'm a Falcons fan. Just in case we lose next week, God forbid, which I hope it doesn't happen, because I definitely think the Viqueens are a bunch of frauds. Actually, they do have a pretty good defense and 2 really good receivers. I think the Vikings have surprised me this year on where they're at. Their only losses were to the Lions, whom they've only played once. And they lost to the Rams, where they definitely had a chance to win, but there was a safety, which should have been a face mask penalty, which will nullify the safety and give the Viqueens 15 yards and a chance to go and tie the game. So I did not expect the Viqueens to be 13-2 this year. I thought they were going to be 7-10. But Sam Darnold is, I guess he's in the right system. And I think it's going to be one hell of a game next week. And I pray to God we get Christian Watson back, because he's a deep threat that we really, really need. Other than that, I mean, we're in the playoffs, so I can kind of get some sleep now. Because as a Packer fan, I've had a lot of PTSD from a lot of things. I think a lot of diehard and passionate fans in the NFL for specific teams have had PTSD, unless you're a New England Patriots fan in my generation, because the Patriots were just really good and they had their time, but now they're terrible. And just overall very impressed of this team. And even though we didn't have Jair or Quay Walker, Evan Williams, or Jamal, well, I was kind of worried that we were banged up in the secondary, but look, we were fine. Spencer Rattler only posted a 51 passer rating. And then Malik Willis, he also did a good job. And Chris Brooks got his first career touchdown. So all around, all 3 phases of the game, did a really good job. So that's all I got in this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. And go Pack Go. Peace out.